on all the way over to, say, Waco. That's down on the farm country, neighbor, because all of you have an opportunity to listen to us now on our Facebook page, the live stream. And we want to thank J.R. Gully for helping us with that. You see, each day, J.R. Gully is at his job as a parts man for Wiley, and he's in his studio that they have there at the parts house, and he's directing this podcast. So, J.R., hello. Thank you very much. You folks wave at J.R. through the kitchen window here and tell him thank you for his efforts. And you'll hear J.R. this this week. Claire and I are going back to Arkansas, and we are going to spend a little bit of time in what's become one of our favorite places in the Ozark Mountains. And we will be back on Tuesday. So JR will have the reins of Down on the Farm Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Monday. So I know he will do a good job. You folks be sure to listen. Thanks for listening today. Now let's take a look at ag weather. We'll use some of the Down on the Farm affiliate stations, and we'll march from the coast south up toward the rolling plains and the down West Dakota escarpment as we move north and west. Looks like Corpus, where we have 97.5 Real Country, KFTX. The best chance of rain this week is going to be Thursday, 89 the high, 75 the low, 80% chance of moisture, 37 or 38 points. Let's head on further up the country. We'll go to the Edna El Campo area, where we have 96 Country KIOX. Your best chance of rain also Thursday the 17th. 89 the high, 75 the low, 80% chance, maybe 37 or 38 point. Moving over toward Giddings, where we've got 96.5 FM KGID. Thursday's your best chance of rain, 50%, 16 or 17 points in a thunderstorm. 87 the high, 72 the low. Moving up the country to Mason. Thursday's your best chance of rain too. 85 the high, 71 the low, 50% chance, 13 or 14 points. Neighbor, now let's go up to Ballinger, where we've got 1400 AM KRUN, where country begins. Y'all don't have much of a chance of rain during the week. Oh, we'll stick with Thursday, where there's a 20% chance, mostly sunny, 87 the high, 61 the low. And neighbor, finally, Abilene, where we've got the country giant, KLGD 1069. Probably Thursday again, only a 20% chance of moisture. Partly sunny, 87 the high, 61 the low. Neighbor, there is your ag weather as we move from the south to the north across down on the farm country. Neighbor, first up, let's take a look at the cotton market. After posting new highs for the move, the cotton market is lower today. The market was pumped higher by potentially ferociousness of Sally yesterday, but it seems that it may not be a major event. This is something of a buy the rumor, sell the fact situation, and the cotton is in a small retreat. And, of course, with hurricanes, things can and do change. The Monday published crop conditions data looks like this. The report showed the national crop stands at 45% good to excellent, which was steady with last week. The 10-year average is 46% good to excellent. Specifically, Texas is 30% good to excellent, up 1% from last week, with a 10-year average of 36 good to excellent. Of immediate concern, the Bowls Open category in regards to the hurricane. Currently, the states of Alabama and Mississippi lie in direct path of that storm and are 55 to 54 there, respectively, open. After making landfall, Sally is expected to rain out over the Atlantic and North Georgia areas. As we look for support today, Keith Brown from Commodity Consultants and DTN gives that to us. Close-in support for December, 65.25 and 64.80. Resistance at 67 and 68. The current estimated volume, Keith says, is about 7,016 bale.
Ranch Rodeo, mutton busting, goat roping, and live music. The Family Ranch Rodeo Fest, Saturday, October 3rd in Comfort at the Youth Ag and Equestrian Center. There's also a great online auction with firearms and trips. For more information, go to our website, ranchrodeo.org.
Neighbor, let's turn our head and steer our gaze toward livestock. Steady to 60 lower is the call for live cattle. Light to moderate pressure, slowly trickling into the live futures as the traders slowly but steadily back away from Monday's gains. Traders appear focused on the narrow market correction in order to adjust positions following a $3.50 rally over the last 2 weeks. Cash cattle remains quiet. A few asking prices are starting to service at 105 to 107 on the hoof. Bids are unavailable. As we look at feeders, we'll call that mixed also. Following an initial bounce higher this morning, buyer support seems to have waned a bit. The narrow 5 to 20 cent losses seen during the morning trade are a far cry from traders pulling away from recent gains, though. As we look toward corn, beans, and wheat, we see a bull indicator that corn and soybean crop conditions fell 1 and 2 percentage points respectively, which should keep average yield ideas on the defensive. Anecdotal reports from the northern plains suggest last week's frost freeze event will be a meaningful impact to soybean yields, which could drag down the U.S. crop even further. As we look toward a bear comment for wheat, we see comments from the southern plains suggesting wheat is going in the ground quickly amid formidable but favorable planting conditions, pointing toward more acres. Neighbor Hop Singh looked out the kitchen window down the hallway, hollered at me in Chinese, and he said lunch is ready, so he's ringing that bell. You folks fill your place, and please set a space for our friend Henry Pickett of Abilene Livestock. He's going to stop down from the sale and talk to us about what he expects today in Abilene. Henry?
We're going to start out with about 300 cattle and about 100 cows. Because of all the rain we've had in the area, upwards of 8 inches, 9 inches in places, I think we're going to have a short run. Hopefully we'll end up with 600 today.
What do you think the quality is going to be like today?
We've got 2 different consignments that I know of yearlings. They're freshly weaned, but they'll weigh between 5 and 6, and the quality's real good. They've had 1 round of shots. I think the quality will be pretty decent.
Good. I was talking to some people at San Angelo today, and their wheat's not as far along as what they wanted it to be because they didn't have moisture they thought to plant on. What is y'all's looking like?
There's a little bit in the ground already, but most of them are just getting ready to start just as soon as it dries up enough.
Good deal. Well, I hear over toward Marlin and down in through there, there's oats that they can row already because they got them just right. So we're going to have some grazing. We'll tell everybody how to get a hold of you.
Here at the barn, I can be reached at 325-73-7865, or my cell number is 940-733-8208.
All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow morning and see how the sale went.
All right, thank you.
Ranch rodeos are always good fun, and right now on the line is Andra Wiesen with Family Ranch Rodeo Fest, set for October the 3rd in Comfort. Hi, Andra.
Larry, good to be here. We'd like to invite folks out to the Youth Ag and Equestrian Center for our ranch rodeo. We'll also have mutton busting, goat roping, live music, and an auction.
And I hear there are some awesome firearms in the auction. Andra, tell us how to get more information.
Larry, that's easy. Just go to our website, ranchrodeo.org.
You know, neighbor, one of the best things about being a Down on the Farm radio listener is that we get to travel. And our cowboy crew helps us because they go down to the livestock auction that we visit and help them work those cattle. We're here today in Live Oak Livestock Auction in Three Rivers. Riley, how'd the sale go Monday?
I had a good sale, Larry. Ended up with 1,402 total head today. Market a little bit better than what it was last week, I thought. Cows were pretty much steady, maybe a couple cents lower on the packer cows, but stocker cows sold better. Calf market was better. Lightweight calves probably 2 to 4 higher, and the bigger yearlings maybe a couple cents higher. Some pairs today brought $7.75 up to $13.50. Some bred cows from $6.75 up to $11.00. The packer cows, your high yielding cows, 58 to 64. Breakers, 52 to 58, and the canners, 32 to 54. High yielding bulls, 80 to 86. Low to medium yielding, 64 to 80. 2 to 3 weight choice steers, 168 to 194. Heifer mates, 148 to 178. 3 to 4 weight choice steers, 164 to 182. Heifer mates, 128 to 146. 4 to 5 weight choice steers, 150 to 178. Heifer mates, 128 to 140. 5 to 6 weight choice steers, 134 to 150. The heifer mates, 118 to 132. 6 to 7 weight choice steers, 122 to 134. Heifer mates, 110 to 120. The 7 to 8 weight cattle, your choice steers, 116 to 128, and the heifer mates, 104 to 116. So got along pretty good. Had pretty good volume today. Had a few extra buyers in the house today, so got along good. I was pleased with it.
What do you know for next week?
Probably about the same. It's depending on the weather again. They give us a chance for rain, but I'd imagine, somewhere around 1,000 to 1,200. I know of a bunch of the calves that are coming, kind of 60 or 80 a piece there, and one other little set of cows. But I might end up with around 1,000, 1,200 somewhere in there next week.
Tell everybody how to contact you.
361-813-6650 is the cell. 361-786-2553 is the office. liveoaklivestock.com is the web.
When bovine respiratory disease or shipping fever threatens your cattle, just stare down those bacteria and say, "Listen, you bunch of punks, I'm not gonna let you keep my cattle from reaching their target weight." Then open your saddlebag and pull out your best weapon against shipping fever. Reach for Zactran.
Zactran works fast. It gets to the site of infection within 30 minutes. For more information, talk to your veterinarian, your Beringer Ingelheim representative, or visit Zactran.com. Zactran gomithramycin. Important safety information. Do not treat cattle within 35 days of slaughter. Do not use in female dairy cattle 20 months of age or older, or in calves to be processed for veal. Subcutaneous injection may cause a transient local tissue reaction in some cattle that may result in trim loss of edible tissues on slaughter.
Neighbor, I hear cattle in the alleyway. They're headed up toward that auction ring at Hallettsville Livestock, Hallettsville, Texas. They're on the Lavaca River. Kim Hagan, tell us how the sale went last week and then describe the action today.
Oh, the market was okay. It was kind of steady in most places, but you'll see a few classes that would be a little softer and a few classes would be a little higher. So overall, the market was pretty much steady to the week before on all the good cattle. Some of the plainer cattle sure been taking a beating over there. They just don't really want them plainer quality calves. So pecker cows and bulls were pretty much steady to the week before. Ended up with a little over 200 and something head of them. Ended up with 1945 last week. Kind of top end of the cows, 52 to 65. Kind of top end of the better bulls, 87 to 94. Our number one steer calves under 200 pounds, 170 to 210. Heifers, 155 to $2. 2 to 3 weight steers, 160 to 190. Heifers, 122 to 153. 3 to 4 weight steers, 148 to 183. Heifers, 120 to 145. 4 to 5 weight steers, 136 to 178. Heifers, 118 to 143. 5 to 6 weight steers, 125 to 155. Heifers, 115 to 140. 6 to 7 weight steers, 118 to 138. Heifers, 110 to 128. 7 to 8 weight steers, 105 to 133, and the heifers 95 to $1.20. Like I said, the market was pretty much steady. You know, a few classes a little higher and a few classes a little bit cheaper, but overall the market was still very good and very active on the good cattle.
What you got under the barn?
We're tagging about 19 something right now, thinking probably 23 or 4, probably over 300 cows already, but we got several little sellout cows, so if somebody's wanting to buy some young cows, they need to come see us. We got about 30 gray Brahman cows, the sellout deal, that are bred to Hudgens Brahman bull, and we got 30 to 50 60 Brangus cows that are bred. Some young cows, some middle-aged cows, and a few older cows. Good enough to go back to the country for a while. And then we got 10 gray Brahman heifers and about 15 F1 Brayford heifers that come off of them Brahman cows. And I got a little handful, about 10 or 15 little 3-year-old Brangus cows that are open. Need something, need to come see us.
Tell us the phone number.
Hey, just try me on my mobile, 361-293-4720. Or try Mike on his, 361-293-4949. We'd be help with anything. Just got to give us a call.
Neighbor, we continue to have terrible problems with feral hogs here in Texas, South Texas in particular. Tom Nicoletti discusses that issue on today's edition of Texas News and Views. We'll get that after this.
You're more than a rancher. You do what's right and trust others to do the same. That's the Texas way. Hi, I'm Pat McDowell, and we ranch near Shamrock, Texas. In 2019, your dollars helped the beef-loving Texans brand reach consumers nearly 300 million times. Efforts like the hit Hulu series BarbecQuest and successful advertising prove that your checkoff is working hard to keep beef in its strongest state. Find out more at TexasBeefCheckoff.com, funded by the Texas Beef Council.
Your seed decisions require reliable advice from a trusted partner. Make that partner Nutrien Ag Solutions. Count on our local crop consultants for custom recommendations and access to the best performing seed in the industry to make your investment work even harder. Lead the field this season and beyond. Find your local crop consultant at nutrienagsolutions.com.
In the state of Texas, there are approximately 2.5 million feral hogs in all but one of the 254 counties across the state. Those hogs create an estimated $50 million in agricultural damages per year. And we're going to talk more about the feral hog situation with a South Texas cattle producer, corn, grain, sorghum, and cotton farmer Zach Yanta from Karnes County in Runge. And Zach, certainly your county is one of those counties that is having issues with feral hogs. Tell us about your situation.
Yes, sir, Tom. We are definitely in the thick of it and have been for many years. I don't know how many decades, but it's an annual problem. It's gotten so bad that many of the producers around this area of the state are actually having to change their production quite extensively by changing the rotations of their cropping systems just to try to mitigate all the problems and damage, money loss, revenue loss because of the feral hog problem.
By rotating the crops, how does that effectively deter maybe the feral hogs damaging the crops for the next season?
Well, it's kind of a sad situation, if you ask me, because there's some good farmland in the area that has traditionally been cropped in corn or grain sorghum or wheat or a grain commodity crop. It's not unusual for producers to lose in excess of 30% or more yearly to feral hog situation for the damage created by these hogs. And there are quite a few producers that I know personally in the area that they've given up and they've gone ahead and converted their farmland, their cropland, into permanent pastures and, end up grazing cattle instead of cropping.
What about the cattle, especially the younger ones, the calves? Are they impacted in any way by feral hog attacks or just their presence there in the pastures?
I have seen personally, I had a friend in Goliad County several years back that when it was a pretty dry year, and a buddy of mine had shown me pictures of some feral hog injuries to a couple of his baby calves. I wouldn't say it's unusual, but, they are animals that will eat, they're omnivores. They'll eat animals as well as forbs and grains and just about anything they can find that, that is a food source. Hogs, I like to call them, they're just small or miniature full-wheel drive bulldozers. If they want to get in through a fence, they will push. I've seen it plenty of times where on some farmland that we had rented where the landowner put up in fact, it was a deer fence, and eventually the hogs will push and push and push at the bottom of the fence until it'll stretch enough or break to where they do get in.
Again, that is Zach Yanta. He is a South Texas cattle rancher and grain and cotton farmer from Karnes County.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Visit Texas Farm Bureau Insurance today at tfbinsurance.com to find an insurance agent who's a true neighbor. Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
This is Texas News and Views. I'm Tom Nicoletti with the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network.
Neighbor, for me, Tuesday would not be Tuesday during the noon hour unless we went up and crossed the Concho and talked to my friend Benny Cox from Producers and Cargyle, San Angelo. Benny, you're going to have a sheep and goat sale today. We'll talk about that. But first, have you ever seen this much rain in the country? Can you remember when?
Jeez, I don't know. It's rained anywhere from, I heard somebody say 3.5, kind of 4 to 8 inches around here. There's water standing everywhere. I had a place out west of town I've had for about 30 years. It's got a field in it, and then there's a bunch of pasture land with it, and there's a tank, and it won't hold. It rained enough that first get-go, which had to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 inches or better, and it put some water in there. Sunday, clouds came up. I went over there yesterday, and it filled the thing. It's a big tank.
Yeah.
It filled it up, or it'll go back down. But, I mean, it took a lot of water to do that. We've had these little downpours and stuff around, fire up. It's a godsend. It actually, for warm weather grasses, though, it's really a it's about a month late, 3
Right.
weeks or so. I think you and I talked about it. You take care of your yard, fertilize it,
Yeah.
do all the mowing and stuff. About the third week in September, that mowing cuts off. It changes big time.
Yeah. Is the wheat where you can row it yet?
There wasn't enough moisture to even think about doing anything like that. But I'll tell you, as warm as this old ground is and this and that, if they can get it in there, it'll jump out of the ground so fast it make you think, my goodness gracious, what happened.
What's going to happen sheep and goat wise today?
We got 2,900, and it did rain in all the sheep and goat country. The thing that, I made that statement about the warm weather grass is we're so fortunate here to have these winter weeds and this winter grass. We'll have sheep, goat, and deer feed, in the next week or so. It'll be green and, around under all these trees. And, there's going to be, we'll be blessed with good performance in these sheep and goats. It doesn't have to freeze here. I think the average annual frost here, killing frost, is somewhere in the November the 8th or 10th or something. And it doesn't have to be a good killing frost then even,
Right.
So we're going to have a lot of sheep and goat feed, here in the next week or two. And our best performance is, through the winter months and into spring with these sheep and goats. We are so warm here in the summertime that we get along. The really, really good performance months are many times in the winter and springtime.
Right. How was the special sale?
We didn't have it 576, and there wasn't 20 heifers in the whole deal. Everything was steers. Of course, you get this much rain, a lot of people will save their heifers or think about, man, I don't know if I want to send these heifers or not. Hell, it may get good, you know. And then there's enough farming and stuff around here that some people have that, to fall back on. And that, and again, that wheat can be awful good in this, in this part of the world if you continue to get any moisture at all. But you know what? We did the boll weevil ratification deal around here, and I don't know how many years ago now, 10, 20, it wasn't 20, I don't think. But,
right.
But used to, it's almost a cardinal sin not to get that stuff in the ground by September 1. And what's happened since they did that, I guess it kills so many beneficials or something. Hell, if you get it in the ground and get it up in September, you'll have to spray it twice, maybe even 3 times.
Yeah.
For green bugs, armyworms or green bugs or something, they'll eat it all up.
Yeah, we've got green bugs like crazy, and I think in that one region down here, they only found one boll weevil larvae. So they're doing a good job on one and got a tremendous problem on other stuff.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, if it's not one thing, it's another. Do you know of anything special for the cattle sale?
No, not this week. We've been having a lot of these West Texas cows. And of course, it didn't rain grass,
Yeah.
But West Texas, you get out to my reports, and I heard from a guy actually that ranches Van Horn, and his family's got a lot of stuff, Fort Stockton, Gervin, around there. Really didn't get any kind of measurements of rain to speak of until you kind of get to Fort Stockton, and it was half inch, and as it came this way, it was heavier. But there's a lot of those people that needed a lot more than they got. We're still going to get some of those West Texas cows. I just don't know of any big groups coming this week.
Speaking of big ranches, I heard the Matador is for sale as of yesterday.
Yeah, and that Patan Ranch is a big old thing. It's for sale as well.
So there's some country out there. If you got money burning a hole in your pocket, then you can raise some cattle, bring them to Benny Cox at Producers in Cargyle, San Angelo. Benny, tell everybody how to contact you.
They can call me on my mobile. It's 325-234-4277. Office, same area code, 653-3371, or they can always look at the web, which is producersandcargyle.com.
We appreciate you.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Where has the Pioneer Audio Tour taken me now? I'm on the Yunke farm in a very important section called an impact trial. To explain the importance, we have to go back in time. 7 or 8 years ago, the seeds in this ground weren't even seeds. They were just ideas in the heads of pioneer breeders. Eventually, those seeds were narrowed down and tested and turned into seeds ready for the final stage of testing, an impact trial. Pioneer plants hundreds of impact trials for each potential product all over the country, all managed by farmers, to help replicate how these products will perform in local conditions. The ones that do well? Next year, they'll go through testing again. An impact trial. Another thing that makes Pioneer, Pioneer. You'll hear more from me later. For now, let your local Pioneer sales representative hear from you.
Neighbor, now it's time for today's edition of Texas Vet Report with my friend, Dr. Bob Judd. You know, I was very lucky. I got to work for a vet for 3 years in high school, 1 year in college because I wanted to be a vet. But calculus and trig kind of ate my lunch. I wasn't smart enough to get through those. I think I missed a career opportunity because I know I would have enjoyed it. And I know lots of you enjoy learning from the reports Dr. Bob Judd does. And most of you that listen to the program, believe it or not, will have a horse before you'll have a cow. And they're going to have stories about horses on this edition of the Texas Vet Report. Dr. Bob?
Treating equine parasites is more difficult these days due to many parasites being resistant to various dewormers. Hello everyone, I'm veterinarian Dr. Bob Judd with Texas Vet News on the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network. And the most common parasite in adult horses at this point is the small strongyle. The most common parasite in foals is the roundworm. A study was recently performed by the staff at Kansas State University to determine the amount of resistance of these parasites to the dewormer fenbendazole that is sold under the trade names of Panacur and Safeguard. And yes, that is the same fenbendazole that some are using for cancer treatment in humans. The researchers used a one-time double dosage of fenbendazole in foals for ascarid and a once-daily double dose for 5 days for adult horses to treat small strongyles. Fecal egg counts were checked prior to deworming and after deworming, and the number of strongyle eggs were reduced on average by only 71.8%, but the ranges were very wide. Some farms only had effectiveness of 40%, where others were 100%. Fenbendazole was more effective in treating foals with roundworms as the reduction of eggs after deworming was over 98%. So fenbendazole is effective at treating most roundworms in foals, but its effectiveness at treating small strongyles in adult horses, even at a double dose for 5 days in a row, is questionable. For this reason, it is important to have your veterinarian check your horse's feces for parasite eggs before and after deworming. You could be using a product that is ineffective, which costs you money and can affect the health of your horses. Certainly, giving a one-time dose of fenbendazole to an adult horse for small strongyles is likely to be ineffective, as these horses were given a double dose for 5 days with only a moderate response.
Where has the Pioneer Audio Tour taken me today? Olivia, Minnesota, next to a field planted with Pioneer brand Enlist E3 soybeans. This field looks peaceful, but like every field, there's a constant battle going on against weeds. Right now, the farmer of this operation is making a pass with what looks like a 120-foot sprayer boom. Enlist E3 soybeans offer the most advanced trait technology on the market. And while it's new to most farmers, it's not new to Pioneer. Pioneer experts and agronomists have already completed hundreds of on-farm trials, all so that acres like this have healthy soybeans with great yield potential. Enlist E3 soybeans on a farm in Olivia. Another thing that makes Pioneer, Pioneer. You'll hear more from me later. For now, let your local Pioneer sales representative hear from you.
I'm Dr. Bob Judd. This is the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network.
Neighbor, let's take a look at grains, courtesy of John Tuggle. Tuggle and Company, Corpus. Call 800-288-4453. Number 2 or better Milo, delivered to Corpus Christi in September. D's plus $2, $10.17. Call them Progresso, $8.50 by the hundredweight. Number 2 or better yellow corn, FOB Corpus Christi area in September. D's plus 35, $404.5. We'll call Houston D's plus 30, $399.5. And Progresso, $7.90 by the hundredweight. Number 2 or better food quality white corn, delivered to the Rio Grande Valley, September-October delivery, $9.25. Hard red winter wheat to Corpus in September, D's plus 75, $5.48.5. We'll call Houston D's plus $1, $5.73.5. And we'll call Houston beans, September-October delivery, November less 15, $9.84.5. We'll call Placido, November less 60, $9.39.5. Neighbor local cash trading for Milo is quiet. Mexican demand for corn is also slow. Price is flat. Cash bids for Milo continue, though, to be pretty strong. Neighbor, we moved 3,924 bale of East Texas cotton, 625 bale of West Texas. That brought the Texas total to $45.99 yesterday. Prices averaged from $60.96 to $63.21. That makes that average about 62.08. Neighbor, neighbor, neighbor. Looks to me like that's all the time I've got for this edition of Down on the Farm. They call me Larry Marble, and I'll call you back down that pecan tree-lined lane into Down on the Farm Radio's kitchen table tomorrow for another big old heaping helping of lunch. Until then, God bless you, and we'll see you down the road.